It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
When that first cut happened, I've noticed a complete boom in activity. So more sellers are positive. The buyers are very, very positive, and they feel like it. Look, the buyer mentality is we're on the brink of a really, really strong boom period for Melbourne.
And that is Alex from Doncaster in Melbourne, where we're going to be taking you very shortly on the Real Estate Breakfast as we launch into another episode with more property information. In fact, 7 days a week, and you can stream us right now on multiple platforms. Look at the date. It is a Tuesday, and it is the very 1st of April. Watch yourself out there in your job situation or whatever you're doing today, because this is the day of pranks. No pranks from me, including this, buying properties under $500,000. We know that is becoming increasingly difficult, but there are still options for buyers out there, including Sydney. No joke. First, though, let's talk about Brisbane options. Domain reported that you can buy in Eagleby $490,000 or Benley $417,000. That is among the last affordable suburbs for under 500k. And in Sydney, just 12 suburbs remain under 500k, including Lakemba, Wiley Park, around $445,000, and both of those areas just 13 k's from the CBD. That did actually surprise me, and it isn't an April Fool's joke for you. And right now, let's catch up with Alec Stefanoski, a director from Woodards in Doncaster in Melbourne. Now, if you're wondering about Doncaster, it's about 20 to 30 minutes drive from the CBD, and I understand, Alec, you got a population there of about 10,000 people.
Yeah, that's about right, Craig. Perfect.
And what about the Sydney prices there? Does that surprise you? Under $500,000?
That's incredible. I might start looking into it myself. Thanks for the tip.
We should talk about Doncaster and have a look at that median price, because Doncaster East, which is where you are, over the past year, houses median, this is 1.580, and on a unit just over 830 grand.
Yeah, it's incredible. You know what's interesting, Craig? I still believe Melbourne is criminally undervalued currently. With what we've gone through the last 2-3 years in terms of the land tax bills, the significant lockdown period Victoria experienced, I really believe that Melbourne is extremely undervalued compared to the rest of the country.
Yeah, well, you've had so many people, we've covered this on the podcast, moving out of Sydney and going to Melbourne. There have been a number of emails that we've received from people saying, we have seen the light. Melbourne is calling us.
I love it. I love it. My whole life, I've always known Sydney's always been, number one in terms of values, but Melbourne's always been a very close second. And it's only the last few years it's completely dropped off, which tells me there's a lot of opportunities for the right buyer.
Now, we should talk about the fact that Melbourne's median house price has now exceeded that $1 million, highlighting the ongoing surge in property values.
The common misconception is blue chip suburbs never go down. I actually find it the opposite. I find the more blue chip the suburb is, the higher the potential for growth. When it's a boom market, it absolutely skyrockets. But then when it's a poor market, they tend to be hit the most. So they tend to fluctuate significantly more than some of the cheaper suburbs.
Now, what about the psychology about Melbourne prices now being with those houses over $1 million? Because there is a bit of mind thought that creeps into people's purchasing decisions.
I believe the market values has got nothing to do with logic. It's actually 100% impacted by consumer sentiment. Consumer sentiment might be the news telling you that, interest rates have come down by 0.25% and everyone gets excited. But news like Channel 7, Channel 9 coming out with the big $1 million median coming back, that's the kind of news which really starts to surge in the market and brings that confidence flowing back.
Yes, indeed. And tell us a little bit about the mum and dads where you are. You've got a really interesting situation going on there. Templestowe, which has lifestyle properties in and around where you are. Then you've, in the same sort of stretch, you've got high rises in the same area. Tell us about that, because you don't really see that all the time.
For sure. I believe that the council I work in, Manningham, is probably the most diverse and unique council you'll probably ever see in Victoria, at least. I don't know any other councils where you've got acre properties, big trophy homes, tennis court, pools, $5 to $7 million sale prices in one suburb, say Templestowe. Then you drive 10 minutes down the road, you're in a quiet, leafy, almost like a country lifestyle suburb of Warrandyte. And then you drive another 10 minutes and you're in Doncaster and you've got a massive shopping centre, 10 to 12 big high-rise apartment buildings, and you feel like you're in the CBD. So it really is a unique, diverse area, which has got a bit of something and kind of anything for everything for anyone.
There we go. That is Alec talking all about his market. And when we come back, we're going to throw the question up about developing townhouses, whether that is a good idea at the moment with some of the land tax in Melbourne. We'll talk about that after this.
Don't forget to subscribe. We have so many episodes, all designed to help you better understand the constantly evolving and dynamically changing real estate property market.
And right now it is time for another property tip, and we're going back into Perth to catch up with Nikki, who we spoke to recently. And you've got a property tip for everybody this morning, Nikki.
My tip would be to potentially look at those properties that are currently tenanted on a long lease. We've got those investors selling off properties with a tenant for another 6 to 12 months. Quite often what we find is less competition, because often those rents are a little bit lower, so less competition. So you might be able to snap them up for a lot cheaper than you would for a property that is owner occupied with more buyers fighting for it, let's say it like that.
We are more than just a real estate podcast. We cover a multitude of subjects, including property data, current buyer-seller sentiment, and the mood of the market. Follow each week all of the main talking points and know your property.
And it is a Real Estate Tuesday, April Fool's Day, the first today. With us is Alec. We're going to talk about the development of townhouses. Now, people have been doing this, Alec. They've been developing these townhouses, sort of doing a reno on them, making some money, but they do have that land tax, and it's not for everybody. You would recommend buying one block and doing something special with that?
For sure. So, Craig, I believe that traditionally the best way to make money in Manningham, probably this goes for a majority of the country, I would say, is you're building multiple units. You might sell 2 or 3, keep 1 or 2. You might even do a boutique apartment building. There's a lot of money in that. Now, in the last, particularly since the COVID era, in the last 3-4 years after lockdown, the costs of building have risen 40%. The costs of building basements have absolutely skyrocketed, and it's been eating into all the developers' profits. So people are still doing that, don't get me wrong, but I firmly believe that you can make a lot more money, particularly with interest rates being as high as what they typically are now. If you're paying 7% interest and construction is 2 to 3 million, and it takes you 2-3 years to do what you got to do the numbers, you're paying over $200,000 in interest. So for me, I would personally buy a block, and this is what I'm advising a lot of my clients typically now. Buy a block in our area, for example, which is 650 squares, maybe 700 square meters for 1.2, pay 1.3 of the stamp. So roughly you build it for about $1 million, potentially 1.2. It's cost you $2.5 million if you're following me. After that, you sell that brand new home after about a year or so of living in there. So hopefully you're not paying any CGT, and you've just made $1 million tax-free. You haven't had to go through council for plans and permits because it's only one dwelling. The build process is only taking you 6 to 12 months, and you've got your money within 18 months. Then you can do the exact same project. In 3 years, you can do it twice, make a cool $2 million, or someone else may still be finishing their first townhouse project in the same period of time.
Alec, you've got the investors whetting their appetite at the moment on April Fool's. Yeah, I just want to ask you with regard to investors, because a lot of the attention from the Perth market, some investors coming out of Perth looking at Melbourne very favourably. How many of those calls are you getting from the likes of Perth?
I've got to be very upfront. Maybe they are getting those calls in the inner city. Doncaster, to give you a little bit of reference point, it's not an outer suburb by any means, but it's definitely not inner city. So I find that our buyers are typically quite local. just to be completely upfront, I haven't had any of those kind of calls. But I really do believe if people are looking from Perth, they're probably looking on a map and they're looking at Doncaster and going, oh, it's probably too far away, and they're looking more in the city. However, there is a lot of money to be made in our municipality for sure.
Now, talking of money, we better talk about this because later on this afternoon, the RBA, they're going to be having this meeting. And by the way, if you're not already following the Real Estate Podcast, make sure that you do follow us, because this afternoon we will have that the second that announcement is called from the RBA. This is kind of, I think, a 50-50 scenario. What do you think might happen? We've got one of those cuts that's already in the bag, which is banked. What do you think is likely to happen this afternoon?
I really agree with you. I feel like it's a flip of the coin. If I had to put my life in it, I might say they're likely to hold it. I don't believe inflation's completely under control right now. In the media, they've been saying that they're likely going to be 2 to 3 cuts this year. So if that's the case, I don't know if they're going to do 2 to 3 in a row. I would have thought they would have spaced it out a bit. However, I would love to be proven wrong. It would definitely make our job a lot easier, because I've noticed an amazing shift in the buyer mentality ever since that first cut.
Doesn't take much, does it? We've talked about that. Just a little bit of positivity, and that corner is turned. It can be turned quite dramatically in just the way people are thinking about, now's the time to get in. Now I can probably afford an extra 50K. Everything looks more positive. If this afternoon we get another push down on market rates, boy, you're going to be pretty happy in the morning.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what's funny? 0.25%, when you look at the big scale of things, it's not much money, but it is an incredible shift in mentality. Like I can't tell you how many buyers and sellers I've been talking to for years, and majority of them were supposed to make action last year, 2024, and they were waiting and waiting. They were about to buy, about to sell, and they said, look, I just want to wait until some positivity comes. I'm waiting for that first illustrious interest rate cut. And they were waiting. So many people are in this boat. And then when that first cut happened, I've noticed a complete boom in activity. So more sellers are positive. The buyers are very, very positive, and they feel like it. Look, the buyer mentality is we're on the brink of a really, really strong boom period for Melbourne. So a lot of people are trying to get in now before it's too late.
Well, I reckon we should wrap it up there on all of that positivity that you've just talked about, Alec. Hey, great to find out a little bit about Doncaster and the surrounding suburbs. Enjoy April Fool's Day today, the 1st of April, and have a great one for the rest of 2025.
I really appreciate it, mate. When I was told about this podcast and I saw the date, I was a bit worried it's going to be a April Fool's joke. So I'm glad it's real.
No, it's all worked out. It's all panned in your favour.
Sounds great, mate. But I really appreciate it, and you have a great day. Fingers crossed for the interest rate cut.
Unlock the secrets of real estate and stay informed about the latest real estate buzz with hot market trends, emerging suburbs, and hidden gems.
Competition is there, sort of like, look what I've got, maybe better than yours.
Yes, you've definitely got that right. I love our outdoor area too. It's definitely built for entertaining. It's been a lovely house for us for the last 10 years.
For instance, on average, we usually put 250 odd properties on the market every week, whereas last week we put on over 400. So there is quite a bit of stock for buyers to pick from.
The alleyways where I used to be getting cash for rent in the back streets and finding syringes in poles are now coffee shops and, billionaires sitting next to, young entrepreneurs, which has really made what it is today and still quite a diverse marketplace.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.